Thank you very much for staying. Let's settle for the first story. And it could be a good time if you are in the import business. This is because the cedi continues to gain ground against the dollar on the interbank market. The cedi is this morning being sold in some commercial banks at around 4 Ghana cedis, 49 pesos. The following report looks at how these developments are impacting on the operations of some businesses and individuals.
The development means that for some of these firms that were importing, let's say, every week, they should be making some savings, which could be put back into business or passed on to consumers by reviewing the prices of their goods sold on the market. Since this country is heavy on imports, the trend may help reduce the cost of operations as well as the cost of clearing their goods at the port, since some charges are pegged against the dollar. For businesses and even individuals that are servicing dollar loans, if the facility was not negotiated at a fixed rate, then their cost repaying these debts could go down. On the economy, the country's budget of 15 billion cedis to service interest on loans contracted this year could also go down, a development that could help reduce the public debt, which has reached 139 billion cedis. Analysts have attributed to the cedi's recent good run to less demand for dollars by firms because of developments in China.
All right, so that's some good news for the business community right here in Ghana. Now, turning our attention to the petroleum industry, and prices of petroleum products are expected to go up by some 5% from this weekend. This is what Joy Business has picked from some big players in the oil marketing business. But would these oil marketing companies have their way by increasing prices at the pumps? The following report highlights some of the issues.
Some of the major oil marketing companies have told Joy Business the expected increase has been necessitated by the increasing prices of crude oil on the international market. This has impacted on the price of petroleum products imported into the country. Some of these firms have also told Joy Business the current arrangement of using part of the stabilization levy to hold prices at the pumps may not be enough to keep prices at the pump unchanged for that long. The projected increase has been compounded by the recent sustained depreciation that hit the cedi, which meant that oil marketing companies required more cedis to import the same volume of finished petroleum products. A litre of diesel or petrol is currently being sold at around 4 cedis, 49 pesos. So going up by 12 pesos would result in a litre being sold at 4 cedis, 61 pesos. This should mean that a gallon should be going for 20 cedis, 20 pesos if this increase really happens.
The government has indicated it would step in to cushion consumers, insisting that the stabilization program, which seeks to hold prices at the pumps till February, is still in force. Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam is Deputy Minister of Energy.
It's not working as we anticipated because the margin of increase in prices, international prices of product, appear to be more than what we projected. But in spite of that, we have continued to use the stabilization levy to somehow manage the effect such increases will have on the consumer. If we didn't have that, you will have a more serious effect because the increase in domestic prices of product would have been more than we have seen over the last 2-3 months. In some cases, because of the application of the levy, we have seen zero increase in the prices of products. And also, as you monitor the market, you will see that the increases we have had so far have been very marginal, 1% or 2%. It's as a result of the application of the stabilization levy. But as we keep saying, this is not going to be indefinite. It's a temporary measure. And many people have said that, why are you applying the stabilization levy to manage prices when you are operating a deregulated market? And I just want people to know that the market fails. In most free market economies, there are such interventions that government will fall on where the market fails. And therefore, if you have a measure like a stabilization measure resulting from the introduction of the stabilization levy for purposes like that, I don't see why government should not fall on that when prices are getting to levels that government thinks will be unaffordable.
I've been engaging some of the OMCs, and sorry, they are telling me that possibly we should expect about a 12 peso hike when the next window opens. That's just this weekend. Has that come to your notice?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as managers of the petroleum sector, we are constantly monitoring the market and what is happening and constantly reviewing our measures, our strategies on how to address the effect that could have on consumers. So from our point of view, if we do not apply the stabilization levy, we are likely to see about 4 to 5% increase in prices. But, I mean, as we indicated earlier, we're going to apply this up to February, and therefore we will be applying that.
All right, so the situation is getting quite alarming, especially to businesses and for transport operators as well as the general public. And we would like to know from the principal researcher of the Institute of Energy Security what actually is going into this current increase in petroleum prices and whether the interventions that the Deputy Minister has been speaking of is still necessary at this point, or whether we have any other option to actually intervene to lower prices. And Richmond Roxon has joined me via Skype. Richmond, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Hello, Richmond.
Hello, good afternoon.
All right, now, so what is causing this current Windows price increase?
Good afternoon to your cherished viewers. This particular, as you already know, the number of indicators that determine what fuel prices should be. One is the crude oil price on the international market, then also look at the cost of finished products on the international market. We look at our CD to dollar exchange rate, as well as the inventory or the stock level that we have in the country. In this particular, even though the CD depreciated, it is really marginal, or what I would say insignificant. So we'll say that the CD's depreciation was...
Now, Richmond, can you please speak up a little bit, because we can hardly hear exactly what you're saying. Hello?
Hello.
All right, so go ahead.
Yes, as I was saying, prices have gone up on the international markets. They are still rising amidst the speculation and the activity by OPEC and non-OPEC countries to stimulate prices. As we speak, the average is around $69 per barrel. The previous average of $67.7 per barrel. That's about 2.2% of the international.
Unfortunately, we would have to round up this interview because the sound quality coming out is just not too good for the ear. Let's move on still within the industry, and government has indicated it is working to have a new refinery set up within the next 4 years to help the Tema Oil Refinery to produce maximum capacity. The initiative would be private sector led, while government would have some slight equity in the new project. This is part of its plan to turn around the fortunes of the current facility and the refinery business in the country. Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko, in an interview, said the TOR would have an extended production capacity of 150,000 barrels per day, while the existing TOR would serve as a tank farm to the new facility to be established. This, he said, is part of government's plan to make the country a petroleum hub in the sub-region.
At the end of the day, we have to understand what we are doing. The petroleum hub is largely an export-oriented operation. TOR is largely, in fact, 100% domestic production capacity. Question you have to ask yourself is that for a $4 billion investment into the new plant of TOR, should government be the sole equity owner? Should government invest $4 billion in an oil refinery for the domestic market? Before I answer yes or no, let me give you a related example. To provide a thermal plant of 400 megawatts combined cycle costs $650 million. That same $650 million can build 50 first-class polyclinics in this country. Now, if you are holding the public purse, and from a public policy standpoint, what choice do you make? I think it's an easy one. I will put the money in the 50 polyclinics where private investments will not go, and leave the thermal plant to private investment, which can eke out a return, a decent return. So from a public policy perspective, we always have to be careful as holders of the public purse which investments we make to enhance the public good. Some of these investments that enhance the public good can and must only be made by government. And you leave to the private sector what they can do with their own private capital. To invest $4 billion of government money into a refinery where private capital will go, I do not think is the best public policy judgment we ought to make. Certainly, government must take an equity participation in that. But those details are to be worked out.
All right, so that sounds some good news for a section of the public, but I have with me the PRO of the Ministry of Energy on phone, Nana Damwa. He's going to throw more light on exactly what the minister meant by those statements. Nana, good afternoon and welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. The position is Head of Communications and not PRO, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Now, what exactly did your boss mean when he says that a new, tour to be established will have the old tour as a tank farm?
Okay, now, I think that there's been a lot of misconception about this, so let me attempt to clarify this for you. When he says a new tour, he meant the facility tour, not the company tour. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So currently, the company is known as the Tema Oil Refinery, yes, but its core activity is refining fuel. So a new tour in this instance refers to a new facility that will be put up, also to be known as Tema Oil Refinery. The plan is to build a 150,000 barrels a day refining plant adjacent to the current siting of the Tema Oil Refinery. There's a piece of land available right next to the current Tema Oil Refinery. Okay. Now, when that facility has been built, because it is a refinery, it would need tank farms to store both the refined product and then the crude oil, among other things. So after that facility has been built and is running, then we may have to decommission the machinery at the current Tema Oil Refinery location and its place enhance its storage capacity or enhance the storage capacity of the current tank farms there, so that the new 150 barrels per day capacity refinery will be running, and then the current site will just be a tank farm. This has no implications whatsoever for workers of the organization, among others. Let's look at realistically the position of Ghana.
Can I ask this question?
If you may.
If you're talking about decommissioning, if you are talking about decommissioning the existing toll, then of course, yes, you are going to lay off some staff, because if it's decommissioned, there's not going to be any active, operations there.
So that is why I was trying to tell you that if you allow me to land, because the decommissioning can only happen after the new facility has been built and is running. I don't know if you understand me.
Sure.
Okay, so after the new facility has been built and is running, there will be need for tank farms to feed and supply that particular new 150 barrels per day plant. So rather than create a tank farm elsewhere and all of that, why not decommission the existing one, which is just 20,000 barrels per day? In any case, in Ghana today, we consume about 120,000 barrels of petroleum products each and every day. So the current toll, the Tema Oil Refinery as it stands now, is woefully inadequate in meeting the needs of Ghana for refined products in this country. Now, we will only attempt to decommission the current facility after the new facility is running. And by extension, by then, the current staff and expertise of Tema Oil Refinery would have been transferred to the new body, which would be the new Tema Oil Refinery.
All right, so that's going to be a smooth migration of the old workers into the new refinery, right? Would that mean the workers of the existing the factory will migrate onto the new factory to be created?
So technically, what will happen is that it's supposed to be a government of Ghana negotiation, or hopefully with a private investor. But Tema Oil Refinery will take up the capacity of the government of Ghana. So I do not see how that will lead to job losses. In any case, what we can envisage clearly at this point is that because it is 150,000 barrels per day capacity, they would rather bring on more workers to enable them to operate the 150,000 capacity. Again, let me explain that the current facility is for 20,000 barrels per day. So if at 20,000 barrels a day, would have X number of workers, then understand that if it moves to 150,000 barrels per day, you have X plus Y number of workers.
Now, can I ask this question? Now, let's say that the current TOR has a capacity or is producing 20,000 now, but definitely has a capacity to expand to, let's say, 60 to 80,000 barrels per day, as even accepted by your boss. Now, why would it be prudent to decommission a facility, including the RCCU, the residual catalytic cracker, which costs so much? Why would it be useful to decommission it and come for a new TOR?
Even if you can expand it to 80,000 barrels per day, it still doesn't meet the current national demand of 120,000 barrels per day. I don't know if you understand. And again, I think the mistake that most of us are making is that you are assuming that we will have to decommission the current one before we build a new one. That's not true. Do you understand the clarification I'm seeking to put out there?
I really don't get it clearly because...
Okay, the assumption most people are making is that we will have to decommission the current one before we put up the new one that is being spoken of. Do you understand?
Yes, sure.
But that is not true. The new facility will be put up. So currently, the current facility that will keep running until the new facility is put up, fully commissioned, and begins operations. Do you understand what I'm saying?
All right, so what timelines are you looking at this?
The minister stated clearly that between the next 3 to 4 years, we expect that this facility will come up. And again, let me emphasize the fact that I've heard a lot of concerns coming from the workers of TOR and other organizations that they do not understand why we want to decommission. The critical thing here is that we are building a new plant. As the process of construction of the new plant is ongoing, the current facility will still be running. When we build the new one, which will be able to meet our current national demand as well as have some excess capacity for future growth in demand, then we will look at decommissioning the current one because the new plant, which is 150 barrels per day, would need more tanks.
No, but if you really want to become a petroleum hub here in the western, in the sub-region, why definitely we would need numbers. Now, why do we have to decommission the existing TOR, even though it has the capacity to also produce some amount? Why don't we add
look at the alternative? Okay, so look at the alternative of going to have to procure storage tanks elsewhere, and the additional cost that will be incurred by doing
would the new facility not come with storage tanks?
And that's the point I'm making, that it's a line side by side. So if you have 150 barrels per day, and the current national demand is 20,000 barrels per day, okay, which has a storage capacity of about 40,000 barrels per day, right? Then why not remove the old machinery, which in its case, maintenance and all of that has become a problem from occasionally.
Even though it has a provision to expand.
May I? Because, you know,
even though it had a provision to expand.
So that we'll be able to put up enough storage tanks.
All right.
That will see the new 150,000 barrels per day facility. There is no conflict anywhere. There is no loss of jobs. There is nothing that happened along the things. And then most important, if you look at how the land is laid out, the new facility proposed will be built right next door to the current facility. So in terms of transportation costs, among others, it is more than prudent to be able to decommission the machinery that is giving us a lot more problems currently. Because bear in mind, that TOR was completed somewhere around in the 1960s, 1960 or 1965. So these machines have far outlived their useful life, and we are running them by the grace and mercy of the engineers that are continuing to work.
All right, now we don't have much time, but your boss also mentioned that there's going to be slight government participation in the equity. What percentage are we looking at for government?
Those negotiations will have to be concluded when we have a serious private investor that is willing to sit at the table and negotiate with government.
Do you have any for now?
The minister mentioned clearly in that interview that there's a discussion that has been had with the board and the decisions are ongoing. So I don't think that at this point we have identified clearly anybody for now.
All right. Many thanks for your time, Nana Damwa. Nana Damwa is the communications manager of the Ministry of Energy. Away from that, still in the downstream sector, Chief Executive of the NPA, Hassan Tampoli, says the NPA is to recall all gas cylinders from domestic users as part of the rollout of the new national cylinder recirculation policy. He said this will ensure various marketing companies to be licensed under the new regime get the right specifications for users. Let's also get on the phone lines and speak with the LPG Marketers Association PRO for his view on this. Now, Bernard, if you can hear me, why is it necessary for the NPA to recall the old cylinders? I mean, in my own understanding, I think that we should leave them, or we should leave the new system to operate as the old system phases out gradually. What do you think?
Well, good afternoon to your listeners and your viewers as well. If you would realize, I mean, for some time now, the communication, the back and forth, the radio appearances between the NPA and the LPG marketers have gone down. If you would observe, it is just because that we are the implementation committee with the NPA, with the Ministry of Energy, and we are working together to fashion out a module for the new cylinder recirculation. So I'm quite taken aback as to the pronouncement by the NPA in relation to the cylinder recirculation module. I don't actually know what he meant by the cylinder recall.
Now, hello? Right. Yeah, he was trying to explain that the old cylinders that people are using at homes would have to be, collected and replaced with the new specified cylinders.
Okay, per the new module, that is a cylinder recirculation module, the bottles will be filled by a bottling plant. So every bottling plant would have its own specification as to the cylinder the bottling plant will be able to fill. So I'm sure it was in regard and it's in respect of that maybe the cylinders in circulation right now might not be the ones a bottling company may use. So if that is the case, the meat would have to be replaced by the type of cylinder a bottling company will use in filling out the cylinders before delivery.
Now, Bernard, has any bottling plant yet been established? Because I have information that there are a few bottling plants already sited in parts of the country. Is it true? Can you confirm that?
Well, as far as we are concerned, our members are on the licensing subcommittee of the implementation committee, and they've informed us, and of course we would have to believe what they've told us, that they are not even ready for with the licensing for either bottling plants or distributors. So I don't know where this is coming from, but as far as our members are aware, the members on the subcommittee are telling us that no licensing has been given out for any company to start a bottling project. So until probably somebody comes out to say that he has been given a license, we wouldn't know, because our members on the subcommittee on licensing have informed us that they are still working together to come out with a licensing regime.
Now, finally, quickly, do you think that the new model could take off in August? All right, so we sincerely apologize. We lost Bernard Oredu on the line. Bernard Oredu is the PRO of the LPG Marketers Association. He was reacting to the NPA boss's assertion that the old cylinders would be recalled and replaced with new specified cylinders under the new recirculation module. And on that note, we conclude this package of the marketplace. Many thanks for your attention. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Let's meet again, same time tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.